You're listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with John Hicks.
Helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to the Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
Here with John Hicks, I'm Jennifer Perry, and we'd love to hear from you here on the Retirement Solution Podcast. If you have a question you'd like us to address on a future episode, or just want to ask a question of John about your retirement, you can do that through our website at retirementsolutionradio.com. This week, John, we're going to tackle some issues that first-year retiree faces, because after all, this is a really big transition that you're making from working and keeping that grueling schedule to kind of a life of leisure. However, that first year does contain perhaps some bumps along the way. And USA Today says one of the things that trips up that first-year retiree is how things change tax-wise.
Well, it depends on how well you've done planning. But for a lot of us, our taxes actually change quite a bit that first year of retirement. And mainly happens for a couple reasons. So some people retire, let's say December 31st of the year prior, and the very next year is a very clean slate, okay? Mm-hmm. But others of us that don't want to do it by the standard calendar, we do it when we flip and feel like it, right?
Yeah.
Or
just had enough. I'm out.
Right. It's like, listen, take this job and shove it. I am tired of coming in here, and this is now the last day I will ever do such a thing. But often we just do it either when we're fully vested in our pension, or we do it when, some arbitrary thing on our birthday or the week after our birthday, or when our spouse is going to retire, or whatever it is. And those are all perfectly wonderful things. Interestingly enough, not only when we retire, but the part of time of the year that we retire makes a big difference for taxes.
Oh.
Especially when we decide to take Social Security. So a few things to kind of look at first. So first of all, we're not going to get that W-2 no more from Uncle Sam. Technically, the W-2 comes from your company or your former employer, but the idea is that will no longer come, but we're going to have different forms of income. Typically, they're going to be 1099 forms.
All
1099-R is the one that many of us will see, and that's if we have a pension income or if we've shuffled around money from our IRAs. Okay. And the money comes from our retirement plans, whether it be a 401k or IRA. And there's the different thing about that. They file a little differently. So if we've been doing our own tax returns, there's a good chance it's going to look a little different. And not that it's a bad thing, but sometimes when it's a little different, we do something a little dumb. And It doesn't mean that we're purposefully doing that, but things are a little different and it changes things up. So that first year of retirement, that first year's tax return, you might want to seek a professional to do that for a couple reasons. Often, there are tax laws that change in the year that you may retire, and this doesn't happen every year, obviously, but there are some things that change, and especially if you're going to have different filing forms, it might be worth it to do one step past the old TurboTax and seek out a professional. So you may want to do that one time. There's all kinds of deductions that are often available that we may not be aware of when we finally retire. So there's first and foremost number one. Number two, people don't withhold enough, Jennifer.
Okay.
I know, and this is one of those crazy things, and I don't know what it is, and I think I understand where it starts. I think when people retire, they say, well, honey, we've been making about $120,000 a year household income. When we retire, we're going to live off about $60,000, so we shouldn't probably owe that much taxes, right?
You would think, but...
Yeah, and that's where they kind of go. It's like, we pay so much in taxes. When we're not working, we shouldn't have to pay that much taxes. The problem is that it depends on where they're getting their money. If they're getting their money from pension income that is not doing an automatic withholding, they're going to have to pay more taxes at the end of April 15th of the following year. Also, if they're pulling money from their IRAs, and I've had people that literally told me this. I asked them, guys, why aren't you doing withholding on your IRAs? What do you mean? We got to withhold money from our IRAs? I'm like, well, sure you do. This was tax-deferred money. It wasn't all yours. If you have $100,000 in that account, it doesn't all belong to you.
Right.
A portion of that belongs to Uncle Sam. And so if you don't withhold for his portion, he's going to come back and knock on the door next year. I think you owe me some. And I'm
all
going to
at once?
penalize you.
Yeah.
I'm going to penalize you for not paying me on time. Yeah, so people don't do the proper withholding. Get with your CPA or your tax guy or your whoever you got doing that. If it's you, get with yourself.
Yeah.
Have a little powwow. Decide, hey, now that I'm going to have this amount of income difference, is there going to be a difference in my taxes? If there is, you want to do something about that.
Sure.
For real. And here's a big one, and this is probably my favorite one, and I talk about it all the time. We put it on list number 3 spot here because I want it to resonate in your register just a second longer. Here's what people fail to do when they get the blessing of retirement, if that's what you want to call it. They get the time to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
whenever they want, potentially.
It's beautiful.
And they get to do it potentially without having to work for it. Now, they worked for it all the way up until now, so you've worked for it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But here's what they don't do. They don't take full advantage of the gift by simply using the GOP tax blessing to their favor. Jennifer, the year right after they retire, that is the perfect time to shuffle money from your tax-deferred accounts, where Uncle Sam has every single finger holding that bucket of money along with you. And you can shuffle money correctly, legally, morally, systematically into a Roth IRA and pay the lowest tax rates, in my opinion, we're ever going to pay in life.
Nice.
People are not doing this correctly. And guys, listen, there's only a couple more years you're going to hear me say this. After that, you almost say every single time, I told you so, 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 I told you. I'm going to have a whole song about it. Guess what? I told you so. Should have listened to me. Now you're in the hole. Because Uncle Sam's going to take all your cash and you're going to be sitting inside going, I should listen to John. And that last part didn't rhyme, but I did it for a reason. That's the part I want you to do. I want you to listen to me, please, of anything you're going to do. Am I saying you need to do it with me? No. Am I saying you need to do it? Well, you need to do the math. You have to do the math. This is the one piece of the puzzle that nearly everyone I talk to before they come into the office, before they call into us, everyone's missing out on, guys. And you can fix this. This is a great thing. If you fix how much you paid Uncle Sam, that's potentially more money down the road that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Wow.
Think about it. Betty White's 137 years old. If you live to be as lucky as Betty White, this could work for you for a long time. So those are the big three things.
Big three. Yeah, it is, especially for those people who are newly retired. But even for those of you who haven't made that decision to retire yet, some of these tips actually do apply to you as well. And that's why at J. Hagan Capital, we've created the 5 helpful tax planning tips that you can use before this year is up. Don't have John tell you, I told you so a few years from now. Get started on those steps with us today. And if you'd like a copy of that helpful guide, we have that for you on our website. Find it there online at retirementsolutionradio.com. It actually walks you through the different steps, what you need to be thinking about. Again, that's online for you at retirementsolutionradio.com. But John, I'm wondering, for that new retiree, what other challenges tend to come up in that very first year?
Well, more than people think. And there's 2 big reasons for that. Number 1 is time. Time. It doesn't slip into the future, like Steve Miller said, as much as you think. As a matter of fact, men and women are a little differently. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Really? We're different?
Just,
I had no idea.
Well, we were told for so long that everyone's exactly equal and everyone thinks exactly the same way. I know that, at least when it comes to retirement, to be slightly different. I know that women are better at retirement.
Oh, yes. Hey, we win.
Now, well, I don't know about win, but you guys are just better at it. You guys have better social outlets. You have other things outside of work to monopolize your time in incredible and good ways. You seem to have a better general idea of how purpose should go for those later years. Men, it's a little tougher for us guys. We typically often associate our work or our occupation with a little bit of a personality, who we are. And when we don't do that anymore, sometimes we have a little bit of an issue. So what happens is time, not just the time we have on our hands because we're not punching that time clock and going in each week, but time right there in the same 4 walls with our spouse. Now, listen, I'm saying, whoa, listen, there's people in the car right now going to church going, you better ask for forgiveness, Stan. You better ask for forgiveness because whatever he's about to say, I bet you're thinking it. And it's not that way. What I'm saying is that guys, many oftentimes we say, listen, I'm just tired of doing this every day. I do want to take some time down. Or I don't feel respected at the office anymore, or I've made as much money as I feel like I'm going to make, or I'm just ready for some time down. But often we have not truly thought through what we're going to do with those 30, 40, 50 hours a week. And if we don't have a plan for that time, gentlemen, I know this. I see this every week in my office. Someone else has a plan for you. Someone else has a plan for you. And that honey-do list becomes really long. Like really long. And it's really hard to uncover that. And it's really hard to get through it. So what I have found, one of the biggest things is separation of time. Time is good. You want things to do purposeful, but you're going to have to find a way to separate that time because it's not the guys that I'm talking to this about. It's the ladies. This very week, and it's probably just very fresh in my mind, I had a lady that came in with her husband and she says, listen, John, for real, we have to get him out of here. I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about the income. I know that things are going right with the taxes. Everything you guys have done is great. But here's the issue. I need them out of my face. I need my 30 to 40 hours away like I used to have.
Right.
And I love him dearly. You have no idea. I want nothing more than to spend the rest of my days with this man. But I don't want to spend every minute of every day with this man. And that's why I say this, because it's the truth. Guys, you're going to have to plan properly for retirement by understanding what you're going to do with 40, 50, or 60 more hours of your time. Everyone says, well, I'm going to go fishing and golfing. Well, can you do that 40, 50, 60 hours a week? Most people cannot.
No.
So if you can't do that 40, 50, 60 hours a week and you don't want to make your wife absolutely make the longest honey-do list you've ever known to mankind, you're going to have some hobbies. Yeah. Collect fish, porpoises, I don't know, become a volunteer taxidermist during deer season. I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that this is the one thing that here's the point. I don't have an answer for this.
Right.
But I'm explaining to you what
better
I see
think
most
about
people, their biggest problem 1 year into retirement is. And if they have the right plan, like if we've structured their plan, they're not worried about the finances.
Right.
They're worried about this. Which
Yes.
is my whole point.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if John Hicks is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, Kentucky Insurance License number 998827.